No music at this point. I'm still kind of, you know what? We'll go with Between Broken by Dabin 2021. See how this goes. Sounds kind of chill. Maybe I need a little bit of chill music right now. Anyways, so earlier today I brought in a stream. Um, and was well focused on my Fire Willpower Sentinel, and went to go bring up the build for the Sentinel, and Mid-Sierra Reborn crashed, hard crash out. So I cut everything and then stepped through running a new stream, opening up the old build in Pines, and moving it over to Mid-Sierra Reborn. However, after moving the build over, I was finding discrepancies. And as you can see on the screen right now, uh, my Sentinel here has a regeneration rate of 88.39 HP per second. And as we'll shrink her back down, look at the builds. The build in Pines, all the way lined up. With everything, you might notice that Rise to the Challenge is currently unslotted. When I had put everything over between the two builds, I had 20% more regeneration that matched my in-game figures on the Pines build, but Mid-Sierra Reborn wasn't quite matching up. And so I kept plinking at it, trying to figure out where this discrepancy was. Did I miss a booster? Did I miss a click? Well, as it's, I don't, I like the Pines way of showing highlighted powers that the entire power bar turns green. That's a lot easier to see at a glance whether or not a power is turned on versus the subtle fading that Mid-Sierra Reborn does, and the bars stay blue. That's a terrible, it's a terrible UI change, and I haven't yet seen uh, I haven't yet seen an option or determine an option inside of Mid-Sierra Reborn to have the highlighting behave like Pine's highlighted, because this is easier to read, but Mid-Sierra Reborn is a much cleaner interface overall. All right, so uh, to you know, I know it's difficult to kind of piece together, so I'll try since the highlighting is not as good on Mid-Sierra Reborn, but I have high pain tolerance turned on, mind over body turned on, fast healing turned on, indomitable will turned on, rise to or up to the challenge is turned on, combat jumping is turned off, heightened senses is turned off, lightning field is turned off. Swift, hurdle, health, and stamina are on. Hurdle, stamina, swift, health, stamina, swift, and hurdle are turned on. And we'll turn off sprint to make everything absolutely equal. And we can look down here in our totals and see that our totals are just about the same. 693.5%, 694%. Recharge 70, recovery 3.08 per second, 3.08 per second, 0.46 drain, 0.46 drain. All right, I'm going to go up to the challenge, and we're going to put in the preventative medicine proc. And we shouldn't have any change to our regeneration. I'm going to put in a +5 heal recharge time endurance, +5 heal recharge time endurance, and our regeneration has not changed. Regeneration here is shot up to 800%. regeneration here went from 694 to 693. Same enhancement, heal, recharge time, endurance. Heal, recharge time, endurance. Have a boost of heal 26.5%, have a boost of heal 26.5%. Check our info and our scaling. Our regeneration 253, regeneration 306. Check our effects. Regeneration base 200 to 306, base 200 to 253. Okay. Let's keep going. Alright, we'll take heal retime, endurance out, and we'll do the next enhancement, which is heal recharge time. Heal recharge time, heal recharge time. We've now jumped to 759 and 800. Check our effects. Base 200 to 266.3. Base 200 to 306. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Endurance recharge time. Endurance recharge time. Now we shouldn't have any changes to our regeneration. Nope. Regen has stayed the same. We're still at 694 for both. Okay. Alright, let's move on and try heal endurance. Heal endurance. 306 self to 66.3. Okay. Let's clear those out. And now we'll do preventative medicine heal. Preventative medicine heal. And our effects are 306% self, 306% self. Okay. So which one is the accurate calculation? Well, if I go ahead and fill out up to the challenge over here in Mid-Tier Reborn, and fill this out. Alright, we should have a boost of heal 101.86, 101.86. That part of these definitely calculating correctly. We have 423.6 out of over 200, 423.6 over 200. And that should give us, and we'll turn on Spiritual Core Paragon. It should give us a regeneration. And since I have melee core active, actually I have to click melee radial embodiment in order to get the correct calculation. Hybrid, media, not genome. Alright, we should have 1027 hit points, or 1027 regeneration versus 1005. So I'm looking for around 87.61 regeneration. And check here, advanced totals, 89.34 hit points per second. Alright, in game, I'm actually running 88.39, a split between the two. Higher than what Mid-Tier Reborn suggests I should be at, but lower than what Pines calculates I should be at. And this is with, I have all accolades up. I have in my enhancements, let me bring this all the way up. In the enhancements, I have everything catalyzed or plussed, fast healing. So it's like I've got all the procs in place. And we're just, again, slight bit in the middle. And let's check our incarnates. I'm actually melee core embodiment. Now, if I go to hybrid and melee core, check the info. The detailed info is supposed to give a passive 241.20 regeneration self or melee boost very rare, plus 30% regeneration on self passive. And radial, melee boost very rare, plus 30%. So the regeneration rate is supposed to be the same between the two. And this is another calculatory bug on, I definitely know in Pines, where if I swap that from melee radial to melee core, it automatically always goes to the maximum amount, not the passive amount. So quick workaround there. And let's see if it does the same thing. We're looking at a regeneration here. Melee radial, melee core, and melee core does the same thing, jumps to the maximum amount. So leaving it on melee radial for the calculations, 30%. And again, we're kind of in the middle. Our total hit points, as calculated by Pines, should be 2088.3. Our total hit points, as calculated by Mid-Sierra Reborn, should also be 2088.3. In game, our total hit points are currently calculated as 2086.09. So my total hit points are actually lower than what Mid-Sierra Reborn and Pine calculates I should have. And I am running Alpha Spiritual. I am running Spiritual Core. So my total hit points are lower than either calculate, but my actual regeneration rate is in between the two calculations. Now, what I don't know is if this is a calculatory bug or what exactly is going on here. I do know that I did make a small change in going to adding additional hit points. When running up to the challenge, and we saw that in Pines, it kept adopting the highest level value, the 50 plus 5 heal for value for each of the other values, but still yet arrived at the correct calculatory conclusion in the buff debuff. Uh, just kind of awkward, and there's like Rise to the Challenge has a scaling modifier, Up to the Challenge doesn't have that. So in theory, I should be able to make this change over the shield wall and not suffer too much, or may not suffer at all. I've kind of been trying to think of other ways to maybe optimize the build, put a little bit more defense into heightened senses. And the thought, occurring to me that if I took a slot from Weave and put it in heightened senses, well, I'd still need to free up another slot, maybe put in Indomitable Will, or just kind of going over different options but I'm not sure I can squeeze much more performance out of this. So that's kind of the follow-up. And since the porting discussion was kind of lost, we'll minimize the build window back down. And we'll just kind of go over why each power is where it is. Okay, Flares has Superior Sentinel's War Chant for Absorb. Now, currently, the Sentinel inherent is called Opportunity, and if you look at the, and we'll bring the window back up, and if you look at the one button down here, you see that it's circled in red, and that's our tier 1 attack. Click that, and while it's red, and we get vulnerability, and the target starts taking more damage. They've now been debuffed. The tier 2 Fire Blast has a defensive opportunity. As I said in previous live streams on Sentinels, if you're leveling a character, defensive opportunity, actually we'll kind of leave it there. Defensive opportunity may be very useful while you're leveling, but not so useful once you've got a full build in place. Anyway, since you will probably be using the T1 a lot, that's where I put the chant for Absorb. Again, because if you're doing this as a leveling build, you can get the chant for Absorb base ATO as early as level 10, and now you have just a little bit more extra protection as you level. High Pain Tolerance is Frankenslotted with Unbreakable Guard, the max HP proc. Now, I could gain a little bit more resistance by turning that into Unbreakable Guard, just say Resistance Endurance. But as you can see in the totals, that really didn't move my endurance very much. My endurance is currently smashing lethal is at 39.9, energy negative at 16.25, fire cold at 56. With the proc in place, my resistances are 39, smashing lethal, 15, energy negative, 56, fire cold. They really don't go anywhere. So maxing out high pain tolerance with the resistances, it doesn't actually have a very high resist value. To lock it off, we can check here and see that its base resist is only 5.25%. No matter how much you boost it, you're not getting a whole lot of resistance out of it. So it's Frankenslotted with the Unbreakable Guard max HP to get my max HP up, because this willpower is very much a regeneration build. The more HP you have, the more you can leverage your high regeneration. The Steadfast Protection resist defense plus 5 to give us a little bit more resistance. And then Numina's Convalescence, heal, endurance, heal, recharge, heal, and that's to push the maximum health as high as it can possibly go. Mind over Body picks up Aegis, Resistance, Endurance, Recharge, and the Psionic Status Resist. Now, Mind over Body is specifically smashing lethal psionic resistance, and if I trade off that Aegis Psi status resistance proc for a just flat resistance, yes, my smashing lethal does bump up to 42, and my psionic resistance goes to 37. But my fire cold energy negative don't change at all. And 3%, and if you have the proc in place, you actually get more psionic resistance than slamming the resist all the way into hard cap. Now, with the amount of regeneration got and the defense that I've got, it didn't really seem like a good trade-off. And then it picks up the impervious skin status resistance. So it has 2 status resistance. And this is something that, and I realize it doesn't show on screen. But looking at status protection, or status resistant, we'll just take these 2 procs out for a second. Status resistance, hold is at 71, or hold stun at 71 each, sleep and mob at 119, knockback retell at 10,000, so that's all the way resistance. Confuse and fear at 71, With the Aegis Sonic proc in place, it now holds stun at 91, Sleep and Mob at 139, Confuse Fear at 91, and with the Impervious Skin proc in place, Hold Stun are now at 98.75. Actually, Hold Stun, Confuse, Fear are all 98.75, and Sleep and Mob is at 147.19. So basically, it's decreasing the amount of time that, if hit by a status effect, that the status effect lasts. And if you can just like, if so, the thing is, holds and mezzes can stack, and if you're in a bunch of enemies who are stacking a hold or a mobilization on you, the quicker you can shrug off that hold if your protections aren't very high, the better off you're going to be. The hold protect, the hold stun sleep protect, or hold stun sleep confuse fear protection on this willpower sentinel are only 8.3. On a tank or a brute, it would be something like 10 mag. So being able to shrug off the anything that starts stacking, because various enemies can stack over that. If you're like running a willpower through uh, Moonfire, you will very quickly notice that the all of the council will very quickly overwhelm a willpower's native protection. So status resistance, very good idea for willpower. Next up is fast healing, which is this is where we put the proc and or we put the Nomina proc. We have a heal and a heal recharge. Our heal is not slammed as high as it could possibly go, but we are running Spiritual Core Paragon, and we're pretty much at the point where diminishing returns are kicking in, and we're getting a bigger return by using the procs here. Super Speed picks up Winner's Gift, mostly for the Fire Cold resistance. So you can obviously see in the play window, she's in the middle of a fire farm and not dying. Aim picks up the Gaussian proc, Indomitable Will. The original build was something like Defense, Luck of the Gambler proc, Defense Endurance, Shield Wall, Defense Endurance, Shield Wall proc. And when I was ran into the calculatory errors and I'm trying to figure out what's going on, it seems I get a 6 and 1, half a dozen of the other going deep on going to 3 slots on Shield Wall. And the main reason why I kind of settled on going with for the corrected build going with Shield Wall is that because it's a PvP set, it scales up and down. So I get that 10% regeneration and that hit point increase across a wider level range, which is really good if I'm going along on task forces. Uh, and then the Kismet proc, you pick up the 2 hit, and then the scaling resist, so I get more resist as my health falls. And Fireball picks up Superior Frozen Blast for the Fire Cold defense, the Fire Cold resist, and for having a chance for Immobilize. Blaze picks up the APOC set to maximize the amount of damage it can put off. And if you look down on the play window, you'll notice that my attack chain is Flares, Blaze, Havoc Punch, Fireball. And there's a reason why. We'll get to the next power. And then up to the challenge, our primary source of regeneration, which is just a lot of regeneration. This also has a little bit of a resist bonus to it, but it's unenhanceable. It only takes heal enhancements. All right, Blazing Blast. Blazing Blast, as you can see in a play window, is up here at the top. And this was a power that the first time I used it, I hated it. And if you haven't used it, watch that Fire Beetle. Bye-bye. Uh, the development intent was Fire Blast has no means of target mitigation. The only mitigation it has is offense. You do more damage. That's it. In order to give Sentinels in the Fire Blast port in Sentinels some kind of active mitigation, something that you can do to an enemy besides just sap their HP, a repel effect was added to Blazing Blast. And in the very first runs, I was planning on swapping out Blazing Blast for either a tertiary power, in this case Paralyzing Jolt, or for Fire Breath or for Fire Blast. Except I was playing this character as I was leveling it, and Blazing Blast just became so useful for some pesky targets. And at some point, when it just kind of like, you know what, I'm not changing this. It works. Yeah, I'm kind of feel that I'm losing some DPS, but most of my attacks are ranged to begin with. Shoving something away, not really a big deal. And there are times in which it was very, very useful, so I kept it. Moving on, Quick Recovery gets a single endurance modification. Now, I know in recent builds I've taken to like doing a +5 in mod increased run speed. Now, you might notice there are some toggles that don't have a lot of endurance mitigation on them. Heightened senses for one, weave for another. And because those don't have a lot, I really do need all the endurance I can claw back. If I go full tilt and start pouring on everything I can possibly do, I will run out of endurance very, very quickly. Moving on, next up, combat jumping, which is a luck of the gambler, then hasten to slot at +5, and mostly hasten is in here because I really could have changed it with something else. I mean, you can already see that just right now, Inferno has a recharge time of around 30 seconds, and I hit hasten, and now we'll watch it count down, and we'll see that Inferno come back up quickly. I mean, something I've thought about is swapping out super speed for, say, speed of sound, and hasten for maybe experimentation, uh, something that, lets me help teammates, or maybe swapping out hasten for combat teleport, so I have maybe taking maybe going experimentation for, no, not force of will for a mighty leap, and then maybe combat teleport, or maybe experimentation and it's corrosive vial, so I have another targeted AoE, something to just add to the chaos and confusion. Uh, and from a strictly damage standpoint, yeah, I think I get more mileage out of Hasten, but those are some variants I've thought about. And then moving on to Rain of Fire, and this is Franken-slotted with a superior opportunity for the range boost, and an overwhelming force for the regeneration and quick damage buff. And yes, if I took this out to 4, I could get the stronger damage buff and get back some more maximum endurance, and maybe come up with something else to get some regeneration elsewhere. Not really sure how. I don't really have a whole lot of other sets to play with. I mean, I could take. I mean, if I did go with one of the other ideas, I could like change up to the challenge to Panacea and free up a slot here, and that may, give some other. It's actually an interesting thought. Going to pay closer attention to what my recharge time is on Inferno. What is it on here? 29.18. With Hasten Up, it's 23.78. Maybe a dual build. Alright, anyway, so overwhelming force for the regeneration, and also if you do Rain of Fire with a knock proc like Overwhelming Force or Ragnarok in it, it potentially can turn into like an Ice Leg, or it can also turn into, hey guys, get away from me. This is also incidentally why I went with the mass immobilized later on. Heightened senses, just for the defense. Again, if I had a few more slots, I would add a defense endurance recharge on here. Kick picks up chance for recharge, just in case I ever have to use kick for some reason. Inferno picks up Armageddon for the maximum amount of damage with that fire proc. Tough just has a single resistance endurance in it. Havoc Punch picks up Blistering Cold for the fire cold resist and fire cold defense. Lightning Field picks up Fury of the Gladiator for the chance for resistance debuff. And Overwhelming Force for the regeneration. Alright, if I lay down chain fences, I can keep enemies in place, and now when I rain of fire them, they sit there and take the full damage. But you can also see that chain fences is just chewing through the endurance. Alright, going up. We were actually on weave, and then chain fences, which if we lock it off, has a base endurance cost of 19.5, so even with a purple in there at 41% endurance reduction, it's still chalking off 13.2 end every single cast. And then strength of will, rounding it out with TP protection. Okay. Now, kind of the thought in running through my head is I could swap chain fences for rehabilitating. You know what? We're going to bring up another window and do a quick R2 build. Alright, we'll save as Sentinel. Sentinel Fire Blast Willpower R4 fix. And now we'll get rid of the Pine window. And we'll bring up. And we want you. And now we want Sentinel Date Modified. And now we're going to minimize our little farmer window back down. And now we'll get our work windows ready. Alright, first thing is we're dropping Hasten. And we're dropping Super Speed. If we're looking at Force of Will, we've got Mighty Leap, or we can Resolve. If we go with Experimentation, we can keep Speed of Sound, and we may take Experimental Injection, and instead of Chain Fences, we'll take Corrosive Vial. Okay, Experimental Injection. What other changes were we thinking about? Corrosive Vial, can't take an ATO. Blazing Blast had a Winter's Bite in it. Fireball can take an ATO, so we could swap Fireball for the ATO set. Wow. First, we'll fit back in Winter's Gift. And this was another proc, the slow resistance, because willpower doesn't have a whole lot of resistance to slow. Alright. Corrosive Vial, or, well, that just takes a Gaussian proc. Alright. So if we swap Fireball, we pull a slot from there, and we do. Oops. We do a 5-slot ATO. Or we could, instead of doing, no, I'll do it like this. All right, we'll do slots and enhancements. Slots, auto arrange all slot. It gives us a slot here. Now we can do frozen blast and corrosive vial. And now we can do Ragnarok. We'll do chance for knockdown because it has the highest PPM, procs per minute. And now we'll do Ragnarok accuracy damage recharge. Okay, and now we've picked up some more recovery. Quickly do Windows, set some bonuses. We have not captained anything. Which one? Okay, our work window is on top. So we'll check totals. Our base recharge. Oh, kick got turned on. Is now at 88.75 over 78. So we've actually gained 10% recharge. And our regeneration is at 994. Let's do a quick check. Advanced totals. All right, 9948, picking up 86.57 HP per second on 2088.3 HP. Oh no, that 2088.3 is the cap. I'm actually over cap. Sorry. Regeneration 87.61 calculated. So I've only lost like 1 HP per second, and I still have a couple slots to fill in. If I filled them in with power transfer, I get some regeneration back. So I could put, excuse me. Yeah, if I do Numi, I get 12% regeneration. I get 6% regeneration there. Numi heal. Or, yeah. The other option was to pull down preventative medicine, switch this to a panacea, but then we could free up a slot over here. That's actually interesting as well. Instead of putting preventative medicine here, put it here. We'd still free up a slot. Yeah, let's... Since we're at the hit point cap... Actually, this is a very good point. Since we're at the hit point cap, I can take the proc from here, and we'll put the proc in there. We'll pull a slot from up to the challenge, and we'll now do Panacea. And the bonus now is we now get the Panacea benefits up and down the entire range, and we want all the heals. Alright. Fast healing to heal endurance. Heal Endurance Recharge. We've got 2 slots. Slots and enhancement. Auto arrange all slots. Okay. We get a 6.25 there. And an 8 per second regeneration. Here we get... Oh, my cat has decided to join us. Would you like to mew into the microphone? Who's a good kitty? Who's a good kitty? He's like, pay attention to me. Okay, that actually, uh, defense endurance recharge, defense endurance recharge. Numi still gives us our highest return. Heal endurance. Okay. Heal endurance recharge. Window sets and bonuses. I'm still not capped on anything. Okay. Our totals were got a little bit better there. Our fire cold resist has dropped a little bit. Why did our fire cold resist drop? Smashing lethal. Oh, because preventative medicine has a fire cold resist at 4 slots. Well, I could change that back to... Could take the slot from there. Change that back to preventative medicine. Oh, that's right. I don't have the preventative medicine at all right now. And I need 4 slots for it. Okay, so it actually kind of forced preventative medicine. Okay. Totals. We've lost some fire cold defense somehow. Now this didn't have any defense. I don't think I touched any defenses. Oh, defense endurance. There we go. Okay. Now, hit points regenerated per second, 87. 87.61. Window, advanced totals. Window, advanced totals. All right, hit points are still capped at 2088.3. Regeneration. 106, 1006.88 versus 9999. So this take still has a little bit better regeneration. This take has a little bit more damage, almost near the same amount of regeneration. Thinking about, because her heal here is 117. It's like that's a lot to go for 3% resist fire cold, when keeping in mind that that's actually an interesting question. I could have taken 2 slots from there and get more resistance fire cold. I can only use that proc once. Do I have any? No, I don't have any other powers that are like that. Did I get any fire cold resist and toxic psi, energy, slow? Excuse me. Hmm. That's defense energy negative, defense ranged. There's nothing else in here that gives fire cold resist. Well, huh. And paralyzing jolt is just a single target. Out of curiosity, what is corrosive file rated at? Alright, since it's a pet power, it doesn't actually say. Chain fences would also take frozen blast. And I could do kind of the same swap that way. Huh. So, like, there was a way to make up that there's 12% regeneration on overwhelming force. And I don't get that kind of regeneration. Well, Sirocco Dervish is 10%. That would actually be interesting. Lose a little bit of regeneration. Lose a little bit of outright regeneration, but pick up another chance to heal myself. That's interesting. That's that's definitely that is definitely interesting. Lose a little bit of regeneration, but gain a heal. but there's no. But the only in mod accuracy endurance is in preemptive optimization. I'd have to go damage accuracy endurance. What do I have here? Damage accuracy endurance. Yeah. How much would it heal me? 60 HP, 5% heal, 3 procs per minute. So 15% heal on average over a minute, so 60. I don't know. Almost feels like worth playing around with. Or, moving preventative medicine back there. Hmm, sorry. Experimentation. Sorcery. Yeah, that'd be interesting as well. Or maybe well, I need to take. I need to take at least experimental injection or toxic dart to unlock. If I take toxic dart, I could unlock adrenal booster, which just gives me Gaussian resistance and not a whole lot of resistance there. And toxic dart, well, I've already got winner's bite in play, so wouldn't be able to use that. Could take an overwhelming force, so can make that up, but that doesn't make up the loss of froze. I really like the idea of corrosive vial, though. Like bottled fire. I like that it uses superior frozen blast. Alright, we're just gonna ratchet this back a moment. We're gonna turn this back into preventative medicine. So we get magnifier resist. I still need to pick up the panacea proc, which I can do that on fast healing. Three slots. Chance to heal self. It's like I keep coming back to the chance to heal self. Because I could do like the end mod increased recharge speed here. And slots and enhancement slots. Auto arrange all slots. Whoops. And if I do accuracy, damage accuracy endurance, damage accuracy recharge endurance, and the heal back, I've now actually got a larger damage return, a larger endurance return. What do my totals look like? I'm now at 993 and 86.47 calculated HP, 87.61. So I'm still slightly down. If I could pick up one more slot, let's see, set some bonuses. I'm still not hard capped on anything. Hmm. Any place I could pick up a slot from? Not really. And so, like, the normal way that I would think about trying to pick up a slot just won't apply here because I'm using preventative medicine to boost that fire cold resist. And I don't have a convenient way to pick up additional fire cold resist. I think this is as good as I'm going to get it on this current pass. I mean, it's like, yeah, my regeneration rate. I've bumped up the recharge rate. My regeneration rate has fallen just a tiny bit, but I already know in game I'm over what the build is calculating. And I've picked up an additional heal back onto myself off of enemies who are around me. And my passive Inferno has fallen to, well, it's still at 28. Excuse me. Okay, it's fallen beneath 29 seconds. Hasten gives me a greater return in play, but that's the only power that really benefits from Hasten. Rain of Fire with Hasten off is 22 seconds. With Hasten on, okay, 17. It does fall a little bit. Uh, Blaze with Hasten off is 3.24. I mean, yeah, I am losing a little bit of recharge, but I don't know. It's not like I'm to do passive farming that I'm sitting here, and if I'm something else that's probably important to point out is that I don't actually have Hasten in a normal slot for me. And Corrosive Vial, the thing is, I'm running chain fences. Corrosive Vial has an end cost of 11 versus 13 for chain fences, so I like the idea, but this really feels like something that's more suited for a dual build, a concept build, because if I really need to crank the damage, enemies run from Rain of Fire. So we're also at 59 minutes, so trying to keep these under an hour. I'm going to log it off here. Call this a Fire Blast Willpower DBR1, and I'll catch you later.